Caesar is a title of imperial character. It derives from the cognomen of Julius Caesar, the Roman dictator. The change from being a familial name to a title adopted by the Roman emperors can be dated to about AD 68–69, the so-called Year of the Four Emperors, onomastic root. Although the etymology of the name of Julius Caesar is not known with certainty, many scholars believe that it was simply a use of the Latin expression Caesar, meaning hairy. The Julii Caesaris were a specific branch of the gens Julia. The first known bearer of the name was one Sextus Julius Caesar, praetor in 208 BC, who might have been conspicuous for having a fine head of hair. The first emperor, Caesar Augustus, bore the name as a matter of course born Gaius Octavius. He was posthumously adopted by Caesar in his will, and per Roman naming conventions was renamed Gaius Julius Caesar Octavianus, sole Roman emperor. For political and personal reasons, Octavian chose to emphasize his relationship with Caesar by styling himself simply Imperator Caesar, without any of the other elements of his full name. His successor as emperor, his stepson Tiberius, also bore the name as a matter of course born Tiberius Claudius Nero. He was adopted by Caesar Augustus on June 26, 04 AD, as Tiberius Julius Caesar. The precedent was set. The emperor designated his successor by adopting him and giving him the name of Caesar. The fourth emperor, Claudius, was the first to assume the name Caesar upon accession, without having been adopted by the previous emperor. However, he was at least a member by blood of the Julio-Claudian dynasty, being the maternal great-nephew of Augustus on his mother's side, the nephew of Tiberius, and the uncle of Caligula. Claudius in turn adopted his stepson and grandnephew Lucius Domitius Ahenobarbus, giving him the name of Caesar. In the traditional way, his stepson would rule as the Emperor Nero, the first emperor to assume the position and the name simultaneously without any real claim to either was the usurper Servius Sulpicius Galba, who took the imperial throne under the name of Servius Galba Imperator Caesar, following the death of the last of the Julio-Claudians, Nero, in 68. Galba helped solidify Caesar as the title of the designated heir by giving it to his own adopted heir, Lucius Calpurnius Piso Frugi Licinianus. Galba's reign did not last long and he was soon deposed by Marcus Otho. Otho did not at first use the title Caesar, and occasionally used the title Nero as emperor, but later adopted the title Caesar as well. Otho was then defeated by Aulus Vitellius, who acceded with the name of Aulus Vitellius Germanicus Imperator Augustus. Vitellius did not adopt the cognomen Caesar as part of his name, and may have intended to replace it with Germanicus. Nevertheless, Caesar had become such an integral part of the imperial dignity that its place was immediately restored by Titus Flavius Vespasianus, whose defeat of Vitellius in 69 put an end to the period of instability and began the Flavian dynasty. Vespasian's son, Titus Flavius Vespasianus, became Titus Caesar Vespasianus, minor dynastic title. By this point the status of Caesar had been regularized into that of a title given to the emperor-designate and retained by him upon accession to the throne. After some variation among the earliest emperors, the style of the emperor-designate on coins was usually Nobilissimus Caesar, most noble Caesar, though Caesar on its own was also used. Late Empire. The use of Caesar for the junior partner in a consortium impera naturally occurred also in breakaway empires, eager to copy the Rome proper original, e.g., the last Gallic emperor, Tetricus I, granted the title to his son, Tetricus II. Tetrarchy on March 1, 293, Gaius Aurelius Valerius Diocletianus established the Tetrarchy, a system of rule by two senior emperors and two junior sub-emperors. The two co-equal senior emperors were styled identically to previous emperors, as Imperator Caesar NN. Pius Felix Invictus Augustus, and were called the Augusta, while the two junior sub-emperors were styled identically to previous emperors designate as Nobilissimus Caesar. Likewise, the junior sub-emperors retained the title Caesar upon accession to the senior position. The tetrarchy was quickly abandoned as a system in favor of two equal, territorial emperors, and the previous system of emperors and emperors designate was restored, both in the Latin-speaking West and the Greek-speaking Eastern Roman Empire. In the Eastern Roman Empire, Caesar continued in existence as a title marking out the heir apparent, although since the time of Theodosius I, most emperors chose to solidify the succession of their intended heirs by raising them to co-emperors. Hence the title was more frequently awarded to second and third-born sons, or to close and influential relatives of the emperor. Thus, for example, Alexios Mosler was the son-in-law of Theophilos Bardis, was the uncle and chief minister of Michael III, while Nicephorus II awarded the title to his father, Bardis Phocas. An exceptional case was the conferment of the dignity and its insignia to the Bulgarian Khan Tervel by Justinian II, who had helped him regain his throne in 705. The title was awarded to the brother of Empress Maria of Alania, George II of Georgia, in 1081. According to the Cletrologion of 899, the Byzantine Caesar's insignia were a crown without a cross, and the ceremony of a Caesar's creation is included in De Ceremonias I 43. The title remained the highest in the imperial hierarchy until the introduction of the Sebastocrator by Alexios I Komnenos and later of despots by Manuel I Komnenos. The title remained in existence through the last centuries of the empire. In the Paleologan period, it was held by prominent nobles like Alexios Strategopoulos, but from the 14th century, it was mostly awarded to foreign rulers of the Balkans such as the princes of Vlachia, Serbia and Thessaly. In the mid-14th century Book of Offices of Pseudo-Codinos, the rank comes between the Sebastocrator and the Megas Domestikos. Ottoman Empire. In the Middle East, the Persians and later the Arabs continued to refer to the Roman and Byzantine emperors as Caesar. Thus, following the conquest of Constantinople in 1453, the victorious Ottoman Sultan Mehmed II was the first of the rulers of the Ottoman Empire to assume the title Caesar of the Roman Empire. Here, the Caesar title should not be understood as the minor title it had become, but as the glorious title of the emperors of the past, a connotation that had been preserved in Persian and Arabic. The adoption of the title also implied that the Ottoman state considered itself the continuation, by absorption, of the Roman Empire, a view not shared in the West. Legacy. Name. The history of Caesar as an imperial title is reflected by the following monarchic titles, usually reserved for emperor and empress, in many languages. Germanic languages: Danish, Kejser and Kejserinde; Dutch, Kaiser and Kaiserine; German, Kaiser and Kaiserine; Icelandic, Kaisari and Kaisarinia; Faroese, Kaisari and Kaisarina; Norwegian, Kaiser and Kaisarina; Swedish, Kejser and Kejserina; Old English, Kaiser; Baltic languages: Latvian, Isis and Isarine; Slavic languages: Belarusian, and Bulgarian, and Croatian, Kar and Karaka; Czech, Cesar and Cicerovna; Macedonian, and Polish, Caesars and Caesarzoa; Russian, and Tsar and Tsaritsa, Tsar and Tsaritsa. However, in the Russian Empire, which aimed to be the Third Rome, as successor to the Byzantine Empire, it was abandoned as imperial style, in favor of imperator and autocrator, and used as a lower, royal style as within the empire-in-chief of some of its parts, e.g., Georgia and Siberia in the United States and, more recently, Britain. The title Tsar is a slang term for certain high-level civil servants. such as the drug czar, for the director of the Office of National Drug Control Policy, and terrorism czar, for a presidential advisor on terrorism policy. More specifically, a czar refers to a sub-cabinet-level advisor within the executive branch of the U.S. government. Serbian and Karin Karika or Kesa, Slovak, Cesar and Cicerovna, Slovene, Cesar and Cesarica, Ukrainian, and Tsar and Tsarina, Afroasiatic languages, Arabic, Qaysr, Qasr, Hebrew, Kesar and Kesarit, Indo-Iranian languages, Persian, Gazar, Urdu, keys are used in the title Kaiser-i Hind during the British Raj. Kartvelian languages, Georgian, Turkic languages, Turkish, Kaiser, Caesar, Kaiser-i Rum, Caesar of Constantinople, II Rome, one of many subsidiary titles proclaiming the Ottoman Great Sultan as successor to Rum, as the Turks called the Roman Empire, continuing to use the name for part of formerly Byzantine territory. Uralic languages, Estonian, Kaisa and Kaishina, Finnish, Kaisari and Kaisarina or Kaisarita, Hungarian, Sazar and Sazano, Austronesian languages, Bahasa Indonesia, Kaisa, Albanian, Caesar and Kaisarine, Armenian, Kaysr, and Armenian, Khazrusian meaning empire, modern Greek, Kappa Alpha Iota Sigma Alpha Rho Alpha Sigma, the archaic form Greek, Kappa Alpha Iota Sigma Alpha Rho is rarely used today. Romance languages, Spanish, Portuguese and French, c. acute sar, commonly used as first or second name. Italian, Cesare, used as a first name. Today in age the writing of the name or title, Caesar, is not used, except only to refer to the most common form, Cesar. However, this is only based on Hispanic cultures. The writing of Caesar is not taken into account. In various Romance and other languages, the imperial title was rather based on the Latin imperator, but Caesar or a derivation is then still used for both the name and the minor ranks. There have been other cases of a noun proper being turned into a title, such as Charlemagne's Latin name, including the epithet Carolus, becoming Slavonic titles rendered as king, Kralj, Kral and Kroll, etc. However, certain languages, especially Romance languages, also commonly use a modernized word for the name, both referring to the Roman cognomen and modern use as a first name, and even to render the title Caesar, sometimes again extended to the derived imperial titles above. Historiography Oswald Spengler used the term Caesarism in his book, The Decline of the West.